I am very pleased to be presenting from Texas Aerospace Technologies, Cisco Hernandez, the president. And you guys have been making news. Of course, the big news is, well, you're here. It's a new enterprise to all intents and purposes. What are you trying to do with Texas Aerospace Technologies? What's the reason for being?
So we started Texas Aerospace Technologies to continue what we had started at DAC, which is to be value-added distribution, to find niche products and produce products to fit that market, and also to do STCs to enable us to sell the products that we represent. Mm-hmm. That was the main function of what we wanted to accomplish.
The community is not an easy one to enter into, even when you've got the background and relationships that you had to begin with. And I know there were other announcements for distribution and things of that nature. That's got to be a tough nut to crack, even with a strong background with the DAC and other lineage. Where are you finding your best opportunities, and how are you proving yourself?
Well, one of the things we've always prided ourselves was having a good, strong technical team. Mm-hmm. And our philosophy is that we are strong on the technical side. We like to demo equipment, more hands-on. And with that background, obviously, it makes it a lot easier to sell the products.
Interesting. Okay. What's your future? What are you looking at doing next?
We will continue to add OEM distribution partners. Mm-hmm. We will continue to look for little niche markets like our MEMS technology. And we will continue to do STCs that fit the model that we want to.
Anything looking particularly attractive?
We will continue strong to work with the FDRs, flight data recorders. Mm-hmm. We feel that's a good time. We're looking at maybe some Fuqua stuff. And then other little niche converters that we can find. An opportunity to help us sell the products that we represent.
What's your decision process like for something like that? I mean, none of this is a small investment. Yeah. It's a big decision when you decide to back something or get into a particular product line or a particular technology. How do you approach something that looks like it has some promise and take it from looks good to, okay, let's do this?
So again, everything starts probably with a spreadsheet, and you have a dollar value in mind. Mm-hmm. The way we look at it is we look at how many aircraft that we think we can hit in that product that we study. Then we look at the cost value. We'd also look at who's in that marketplace. And then we make an evaluation. We have a team that, including myself, that will look at the dollars that we're going to spend, the return on the investment, how long will it take before we get that return back, and then we'll make a team decision on to go ahead or not.
How big is your organization right now?
Currently we're about, I think it's 7 employees, and we do co-share financial warehouse with our sister company, Texas Aerospace Services.
Okay. There's a lot of talk in this industry about finding, training, or grooming in some cases, talent necessary to build companies. How are you finding your search for quality people in the avionics industry?
We pretty much follow it's word of mouth. On the younger side, we in Avidyne, example, we pick up a lot of the military folks. Mm-hmm. That are retired or wanting to get out of the military. On the commercial side, it's basically looking for kids out of school, and using our long-time membership here in the AEA to just ask questions and find out if we can find anybody that's willing to get into our marketplace.
We were talking to Mike Adamson previously about the community around here and how positive it is and how surprisingly non-competitive it is when it comes to people supporting each other in the industry. Have you found that attitude to work for a new entry like yours?
Yes, we have. Yeah.
Interesting. How so?
I don't know how to answer that one.
No, okay. Not a problem at all. We've been watching the industry grow coming out of the pandemic and so forth. There seem to be a lot of opportunities and also a lot of caveats about what's happening with the economy, what's happening with the world, so forth and so on. What are the areas that concern you right now as you build your company?
Well, I mean, obviously, inflation is a key concern. You know, as things get more expensive, you know, are we going to continue to see the growth? I mean, we've seen a lot of growth, especially in the business aviation, with the COVID effect and everybody trying to fly. So that would be my main concern. You know, real estate is out of control, and so we just, you know, we got to be competitive.
How are you doing with supply chain issues right now?
We're having issues. We've got backlog that we cannot fulfill. A lot of our OEMs are struggling with that supply chain. I will say that, you know, for us, distribution, it's one of the benefits. If we can stock, we can help out some of these and solve some of these supply chain problems.
Well,
for
that's
some of
how you
these
make
suppliers.
a name for yourself real
exactly.
quick.
That's what we want to do.
That's a big deal.
That's what we want to do.
So what's the industry need to do at this stage again, or what can it do, what kind of effect can it have on the current supply chain miasma, for lack of a way to put it?
Well, I think you're seeing a lot of OEMs now are starting to build up inventory. You know, it used to be kind of build as we got an order, but I think now because of the supply chain issues, I think a lot of OEMs are starting to do more forecasting, so like that.
The way smaller companies operate under the guise of these 600-pound gorillas that are out there, there seems to be an interesting food chain that occurs. But at the same time, the larger companies seem to have been far more amenable to being approached and working with than they have been in the past. Has that been your experience?
It has been. It has been.
Why the change, do you think? You know, for the longest time, a brand G or brand A or whatever, or brand U, you know, prove it to me. You had, but they seem to be far more amenable now.
I think people are open again, like you said, supply chain, anything that can help them.
Bingo.
I think they're open to that benefit.
Interesting. The overall industry, obviously, is still kind of putting itself back together. It's not quite sure what the next drop is going to be and so forth, but the ability to train, the ability to react, the leadership from AEA, which is frankly exceptional when you look at the rest of the associations, seems to have been, you know, the biggest thing that's kept people moving forward. What suggestions do you have for the AEA community or the AEA leadership in helping companies like yours, as well as the people you work with, prosper?
Well, I think the same. What they're really doing now, I think, is great. So I think we just need to continue to educate the young, and help train and get people into this industry.
Are you seeing the training that's coming out of the tech schools, as well as some of the equivalent military people being adequate to getting into the private sector?
I do. Yeah, I think so. I mean, what we're seeing in Abilene is just a shortage.
Really?
Of that, but yeah, extreme shortage of people. Yeah, and also you're having the competition. You know, minimum wage has gone up. Competition now, the salaries are extremely going up high, especially in those areas where we're used to a lower cost.
You mentioned hiring former military. Is that a preferred? I mean, with the people, the experience that the military provides, and not always under the best of circumstances, are you finding those people coming out to be better trained, or are they doing what you're hoping for?
I think so. I mean, I'm not too involved with our service repair business. Ours is mostly the distribution side, but I think they definitely is a benefit to their experience in that. So.
And what other products will you be distributing in the near future? Are you contemplating now?
So we will continue to focus on the cockpit and also in the cabin. Those are the main products. So we will continue to look for products like attitude heading, reference systems, more display type products, and again, more niche products, small products to complement those products that we pick up.
Weren't you in the process of working with one of the experimental avionics manufacturers?
We just picked up the Dynon
for
South America, right.
That's kind of an interesting market.
Yep.
So how do you approach something like that?
So, you know, we have a full-time person in Brazil, and so Vanderlei da Silva is our guy in South America, and our intent is to establish a dealer network, to do training, to supply demo units and establish that whole dealer network in South America.
Dynon has built an incredible product line in a very short period of time. They benefited from being able to work with the experimental community because, boy, nothing is going to acid test a product like a guy putting it into his RV for the first time. And they've learned the lessons well, but at the same time, they are the new kid on the block. They're
Right.
not a brand G or a brand
Right.
A or some such.
Right.
How are you finding it to be able to introduce something that new and yet still a little suspect to a market that isn't as exposed to it as we are up here north of the border?
Yeah, I think, well, again, our background, I mean, my background, I mean, we brought a lot of new products to the market. I mean, we were one of the first ones to introduce GPS into Latin America. We did Sandell for many years in Latin America. And I think our reputation allows us to bring a new product in, and there's a little bit of trust to allow us to establish this network.
Excellent.
So,
Alrighty, well, we sure appreciate you spending some time with us. It's been an interesting convention this year, from people getting back together, meeting each other for the first time in a couple of years in many cases, starting to do some deal making on the floor and so forth. Is it back to normal for you now at this point?
it's almost back to normal. So it's great to be here to see all the old friends, all the new companies. You can see it's pretty well attended, well exhibited. So we're getting there. It's little by little. I'd say it's about 75% there, but it's going to be good. I think going forward, we're looking forward to continued growth.
Well, we wish you the best of luck. Please keep us up to date on anything newsworthy. We did
We
see
will
the
do that.
Dynon release the other day, and I know we're able to get that information out to people, but keep us up to date, and we will do the best with the rest of the industry.
News Network's coverage of the 65th Annual AEA International Convention and Trade Show, live from New Orleans, is brought to you in part by the following sponsors: